In this video, we're going to cover the concept of standardization. I'm going to talk about two things: what it is and why we do it, and then actually, I'm going to give you some examples. So let's get started with what it is and why we do it. Standardization is about making consensus over how things are done. You see, we have to have common practices. In an organization, if everyone is doing everything in a different way, then it becomes really challenging to work together and solve problems, make progress, and even know what the heck is going on. So standardization is very important for a few reasons. The first reason why standardization is so important is that standardization spreads best practices. You are one person, or if you're a group, each one of you is one person. So if you come up with a good idea, how are you going to get everyone else to do it too? Basically, how is the organization at large going to benefit from your bright idea? This is why standardization is so important. It spreads best practices to everyone everywhere. The second reason is that standardization makes practices stick. Just because you come up with a good idea doesn't mean that it's going to stick. I mean, maybe next week or next month or next year, the company forgets about it. And so standardization is our weapon to fight against the gravity of disorder, because disorder is just like that. It's like gravity. It's pulling at us all the time. The moment you create a way of doing things, that you establish something new, disorder and the forces of this world are acting against it for it to fall by the wayside. So what we do to combat that and to make things actually stick over time is we standardize them. The third reason why it's important is standardization is the foundation for improvement. Taiichi Ohno, the founder of Lean, is quoted to have said, "Without standardization, there can be no improvement." Think about that for a moment. If you make an improvement, but there is no standard, what are you comparing it against? If you don't have a starting point, there's nothing that you can measure. You can't measure improvement if there isn't even a starting point, right? So if you want to be a company about continuous improvement and just taking things to the next level and the next level and the level after that, you have to start with a standard. If there isn't one, then you got to create it. And then that standard becomes the platform and launching pad of everything else that you do, saying that this is where we're at. This is our best practice. Now, how much further can we take it? So now you know what standardization is, that it's about making consensus over how things are done. And you know a few reasons why we do it. So now let me give you a few examples of what it might look like. Okay, let's say for a moment that I'm putting away glasses from my dishwasher. How do I know where it belongs? Well, you could say that, well, clearly it goes in this cabinet because there's already one right there. So if I got another one of them, it belongs with the other one. But let's say for a moment that I'm having all my relatives over, or I opened Airbnb and there's like 20 people coming to my house. I don't know if that's even legal and if the house won't burn down, but let's just pretend that for a moment. How are they going to know where stuff belongs? Like, we want Lean to be so easy that anybody could show up and know exactly how to use this kitchen. This isn't going to tell them anything unless I do a little standardization. With something as simple as this, I can show exactly where the glasses belong. Now it's a no-brainer. Anybody can come into the house and know exactly where the glasses belong. And even better than that, you can see from the indicators there in the cupboard that there's 3 missing glasses somewhere, which means if my Airbnb people don't manage to burn down the house, but they break or lose a glass, they will be reminded that there's 3 missing, and I'll be reminded too, just at a glance, that, hey, where's my other 3 glasses? Okay, here's another example. This is my kitchen drawer, and I've got a home for everything, a place for everything, and everything in its place, and I've taken it a step further to standardize it. You can see here where I've got labels to indicate where the small forks belong, the big forks, the small spoons, the serving spoons, and whatnot so that there's no confusion. I am the type of person who will put away utensils and have my mind in the clouds daydreaming, and this provides a simple reminder about how things are supposed to be done. And then here on the left, I've got some Kaizen foam. Now this is very humble Kaizen foam. It's actually just some foam inserts I found that I kind of hacked to pieces to put all the tools in here. The reason why is this is actually a prototype. I'm not certain if regulatory affairs in the Crawford family is going to decide that it meets the cuteness standards of the kitchen. So this is what we started with. But Kaizen foam is awesome. You can see that I'm missing this huge knife and 2 measuring spoons. And so the inserts are going to remind me what belongs here and tell me when something is missing. This is how I'm going to ensure that nothing gets lost, that things are where they belong, and so that it's clear to everyone in the house where to find what they need. Another example of standardization is what you see here in this bi-weekly household checklist. Here we've got cleaning duties, budgeting, and even exercise contained week by week here in this checklist. It helps us stay on top of the things that we need to do, and it's right here in the center of the kitchen on the refrigerator where everyone can see it and we can hold ourselves accountable. And then of course there's other kinds of standards that you might refer to as work instructions or procedures and other documentation. And here's a picture of an 8-step process full of pictures. It's very simple, very visual, and easy to follow. Before we finish this video, there's one more thing I want to make clear, that the purpose of standardization is not to kill creativity, but rather to promote and capture new and improved ideas. It's very important that you look at it in this way and not as a barrier. But at the same time, depending upon the industry and business that you're in, there may be certain procedures and approvals you have to obtain in order to make a change. And that's okay. In the interest of respect for people, it's important that you have awareness to these change procedures and that you follow them when standardizing change. Well, that's it for this video. Thank you so much again for joining me, and I'll see you again soon.